Welcome back to the Daily Devo. My name's Bob Bryant, and today we're going to talk about rejoicing in tough times. Today we're continuing our 1 Peter study, and we're in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 6 and 7. In this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold, that perishes though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. This is not the advice you normally want to give somebody when they're going through difficult times, is it? Rejoice even though you're suffering. Rejoice in this terrible trial. Rejoice because you're being treated unethically and immorally. Rejoice because somebody is hurting your children. It's just not the advice that you really want to give, but God has given it to us. And he's saying even in these tough times, we can rejoice for very specific reasons. I just want to say, if you're going through a tough time right now, I'm praying for you. I've had my seasons of tough times and trials and hurt and suffering, whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically, and they are some tough times, and it's tough to rejoice. And so God willing, he will give you the faith to believe his word and the faith to help you through this. So let's take a dive in to 1 Peter 1, verses 6 and 7. It says this: you're going to have tough times, but you need to be faithful, you need to be courageous, and you need to be brave. And here are three reasons why you can rejoice. The first, you see it in this text. Bad times, tough times, suffering times, trials only come your way if necessary. Do you see what Peter said? They will come your way if necessary. What that means to me, it means to me that tough times, suffering times only come if they're meaningful and God wants to use them in a meaningful way in your life. That the tough times and hurting times are not meaningless, that they're a legitimate reason and God wants to bring them. God is the gatekeeper to tough times. He doesn't let all of the tough times come into our lives, but he lets some of them if necessary. Question for you: do you trust him? Do you trust him to be the gatekeeper of tough times? Do you trust him to let only the tough times that come in that are meaningful and helpful, and not things that just hurt for no good reasons? First reason to rejoice is that God is the gatekeeper, and only tough times that come in are those that God chooses to permit if they're necessary. Number two, reason to rejoice. The trials come not to harm us, but to help us. The trials come not to push you down, but to lift you up. The trials come not to weed you out, but to raise you up. The trials are coming to refine us. Now, it's easy to say that this whole sanctification that we looked at a couple weeks ago, that this whole idea of progressive Christian growth and us becoming more Christ-like, we want that. But what God says is an essential tool to making that happen: tough times, difficulties, suffering. Was it C.S. Lewis who said, it's in our pain that we hear God most clearly? This idea that in these tough times, God is taking and getting rid of the impurities by us going through these tough times, because we lean on God more than we've ever leaned on him more. In the easy times, it produces easy people, but in the tough times, you produce tough, good, strong people. And God is refining us to be like gold. He's refining us to be more like Jesus. That the greater we reflect to people in our life who Jesus is with our thoughts, our ideas, our actions, even in the midst of suffering, and knowing that we can rejoice we're not rejoicing in the suffering. We're rejoicing because God is a gatekeeper. We're rejoicing because God is refining us and making us more like his son. Third reason to rejoice in tough times: because God rewards us for our faithfulness through the trials. He rewards us. Do you see this passage? In verse 7, it says that we may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. You may know this, but at the second coming of Jesus Christ, we go to the judgment seat of Christ, which is the review of all of our good works. And when our good works reveal that we were steadfast in the times of toughness and trials and suffering, we will be rewarded. God will praise and honor and glorify us. Why? Because we are reflecting back to him, his son. Rejoicing in suffering is tough, no doubt about it. But 3 reasons why Peter outlines why we can rejoice in these tough times.